So this is the big boy. So like I said, this is a 60 volt. It's not made by DeWalt, it's made by BATT Screed. All right, let's get into this. So, learned a couple things about this versus corded. So our old unit was corded. So we'd have to have either a generator on site or use the customer's power. And we have to pull cords around and they tend to get stuck on a lot of things. So with this new system, it's battery powered, 60 volt DeWalt. We run all DeWalt tools. So that's a great improvement for us. So this first part I'm pulling out here, this is the handle for one end of the screed pipe. So that's the first part. It's a two-man operation basically. And with our old system, it was a three-man because you had to have one person guiding the cords so you weren't hooked on stuff so you wouldn't mess up your screed. So this will be great. So we got a fast charger here. We got two 60 volt batteries. These are huge. You get a lot more runtime, a lot more power off these. We really like these batteries. We actually have a couple tools now that run off of the 60 volt versus a corded, which is great for getting in and out of jobs because a lot of times we're on foundations where we don't have access to power besides a generator. So we have a couple of these. These are our, these go into the end of our pipe. It's a Schedule 40 aluminum. They'll actually hook onto this carabiner here and it slides into the pipe. You tighten the bolts and there's a little rubber gasket here that expands and that grips the pipe so our attachment here isn't sliding out, so that way we can actually use our pipe properly. We have two of those here, one for each end of the pipe, and they're universal, so you don't have to figure out which end of the pipe that you need to face the correct way. With our old system, each end was different, so you actually had to think about where you're putting your pipe before you actually put it into the hole or wherever you're going with it. This is nice because it doesn't matter which end you use with the handle or the motor. And we can get about 2,500 square feet off one battery. That's all depending on your slump and how much torque you're using. So this is the actual end that will attach. This pin comes right out. You slide it onto here, slide your pin in, and you're good to go with your carabiner on your handle. So that's how that part works there. It's a pretty fast system, so if you need to change direction or move your handle to another side, you're just popping a simple pin to move your pipes around. So this is the big boy. So like I said, this is a 60 volt. It's not made by DeWalt, it's made by BATT Screed. This other end, it's the same pin, slides right onto there. So basically this is a right angle drill and you can just reach right in here, reverse, forward, and it changes your spin. So if you have to go back or whatever you have to do, you can change directions really quickly. And then the housing for the battery here, see how that works there. You have 3 different positions you can lock that in. This is the housing for our battery. It's inside, so that way we're not getting concrete and any water or whatever into our right angle drill here. So that's pretty neat. The other one is just a corded, so you don't run into that problem with the other one. But moving on to the handle, which is really nice. because we have an actual handle for our trigger. Our old one was just a skinny little chunk of metal, which would actually get sticky and stuff. So it's quite scary if it gets stuck on. This one, it's a lot more grippable and usable. This is our kickstand. It's easy storage. Looks like a handle. It's not, but it is a handle, if that makes sense. So that would work like this, and this end would obviously be connected to the pipe, so you can let go, and it's just going to sit there waiting for when you want to use it next. Show you how easy it is for this to swap your pipe ends. So literally, you're dropping in there, putting your pin in. If you need to swap your drill to the other side, you pull out your 2 pins, move over. The same connection. With our old system, this end actually had a chuck in here where you had to pop a pin. You had to have a special pin for it. And the other end was a simple, just a little pin. So that way you actually couldn't swap your pipe around. You had to move your whole setup around. So this will be a lot quicker. So they actually sent us a tool. This tool can hook up to an impact. It's a normal impact driver. And this hooks right onto your bolts. So that way if you have to swap out to a different pipe, you're just simply putting it on an impact, loosening it up, pull it out, slide it in different size pipes. We have, I think, about 5 different pipes. We have a 20-footer, a 22-footer, 15, 12, and a 6, I believe. So there's a lot of different pipe sizes that we can run with. And this will just make it faster to swap out between pipes. Then we have this. This here is the handle for the other end, like we've been talking about. All these pins too on this are all the same size. So the pins that lock this handle together can be used on this also. So we're not having to worry about, oh, do we have the right pin in the right spot? It doesn't matter. They're all the same pins. So you're not having to worry about which pin to use. So you can see all the adjustment sizes. Maybe if you're a shorter person, taller person, or you're working a different angle, you're not going to worry about the handle. The old handle we have is a fixed position, and the end we didn't have a carabiner exactly. So this one, when we connect this all together, you can see how much movement we can have with this before it's actually going to start to bind. Our old one would start to bind up pretty quickly. So this will be a nice feature too, because when it starts binding up, your pipe starts hopping, and then you got to start over again. So right in front here, I don't know if you'll be able to really see it, there's a high and low gear. We have a 1 and a 2. So that we'll be able to change versus according to our slump. So if we have a lower slump, we're going to use a lower gear for more torque. But the more you run a more torque, you're going to burn up more battery. So we have to just keep that in mind when we're pouring, so we're not running ourselves out of battery and leaving ourselves short. So what I'm going to do right here is we have our old Screed right here. We'll still use that for backup, because it's always, you never know what's going to happen. Tools break, things happen. But I'll put them side to side, kind of give you a little bit of a comparison on what we had and now what we do have. So this one is roller Screed. Marshalltown now owns it. This has seen some use over the years. So obviously it's corded. We have it's the same concept, just a different tool. We have our directional change right in here. You can see this is pretty well used, but you can still change the direction on it, that works. And this is the chuck system I was talking about. Basically, you have to, your end slides right on here, and you have to get it out, you have to use a special tool, which would go in here, but we'd lose that all the time because it's a loose fit. So we'd have to use our Leatherman or whatever we have on hand to get that out, and it's kind of a hank to get that in and out. A lot of times, if we're doing a bigger pour, we have different size pipes that we use to utilize our space, so we're not pulling too much concrete at once. So when you have to swap out a pipe, you usually have your concrete waiting on you. So you really want to be able to swap these out as quick as possible, because that's really undervalued, the time that you have to actually get your concrete laid, because that's the biggest rush, is to get it laid. So when we're held up trying to swap out our ends or our pipes, that's really where it's annoying, and it's going to be huge to swap that out a lot quicker. It's corded, but like comparing to this one, we don't have a kickstand, right? So we can't to set this down or to go grab something real quick, we have to lay this down on the concrete, hence all the concrete covering this tool. Another thing that this one doesn't have is our adjustment. So we can't, if we're up tight against a wall, say we're up against a wall right here, and we're trying to pull our screed, we gotta stand away because I can't stand in the wall. I'm binding up the pipe. So I don't have the flexibility as we do with that one. Another thing too is obviously it's corded, so we have basically unlimited power, but it's the trigger. This trigger here, if you can see it, is very small. It's a one finger deal, and basically you're pulling that trigger. It's actually very hard to grab, and sometimes it sticks. It's just a little stick. It's stuck right now. There we go. So that's actually scary because if it pops off a screed rail or something, you want it to stop as fast as possible. So that's one thing that we didn't like about this one. And just carrying it, you have to just grab it however you can grab it. You know, you don't have the options like this one, as where we have our handle down here. So when you're moving to a different spot, you have your handle and you can just walk away with it like this. This one, you can't do that. All right, guys, that's about it for us on this one. We're gonna give this thing a few runs and then do a review on it. We really think it's gonna be great. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.